Hello and welcome here. Nice to meet you here all. And I saw many people have Bitcoins at all here. So let me introduce myself a little bit. I was born in the 1970s, so for many of you it's the land of the dinosaurs. And in this time my parents bought me a computer, a home computer, later in the 80s. And sent me with 9 years around the world to study computer technology, programming, coding, everything about. And in the mid-90s, when I was 16 years old, some friends of me came to me because I know them from the beginning of internet and so, all around the world, and said, what about creating money on internet, making a free land with free people with free money? So later in the news they were writing about the cypherpunk area, and we started to study on computer projects like DigiCash, like Mcash, Ccash, several cash programs to make happen what today is Bitcoin technology. And we stuck all in the beginning of the 2000s, 2001, 2002, because we can hack our systems. So my knowledge is so high that I'm today hiring 30 of the best hackers in the world to crack down Ethereum, everything about it, all blockchain systems, to show the financial world that they have failed to rebuild Bitcoin. That's what I do today. And it comes out from this because we have a philosophy, because the people lost the mood or the imagination why Bitcoin was coming alive. There was a reason why Bitcoin comes to the world, and it was not for economy. The Bitcoin was coming out in 2008 when we have a global financial crisis because stock markets experts, governments, and all the people out there were running greedy for the asset market, for the real asset market. They burned up all the houses and everything, we saw it. And many people lost their jobs and their hope for a future. So Bitcoin was created to go another way, a different way. And so you see, I'm from the beginning from Bitcoins. Yes, and the main question you will ask me later is, who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Is it one person, two person, a group of person? I can tell you, he is one person at all. And he's still alive. He's not gone away. And so if you can imagine, my thing is, I'm here because we are in a time where we can change the world in a way we never have mentioned. So we can do it in a totally different way from that what we started with money in the 15th century. So this is a quite different day to think about money today. And imagine I'm from the beginning in Bitcoins. So if you want to know what I can do with money is, imagine I have 250,000 Bitcoins at the moment. So I can change a lot, and I will do it with some friends of mine who even have more Bitcoins than me. Okay, what was the reason to introduce Bitcoin 2008 to the publicity? We had several problems with money become controlling people. Money was blowing up in the financial crisis, and many people were thinking about the system money is working, yeah? The people was going on the street and say, yeah, the old monetary system has gone away. We are not want to have this old money again because you blow our value through the chemistry. At the same time, it comes up that controlling by internet, by cameras, by everything you have connected to the internet was going away. We don't think it's good for a free community. So Bitcoin was built to come into a system no one can crack down, no one can stop from using, and we can have a little bit more self-confidence for that what we do and we will do for the future. So in the beginning, you know, Bitcoin hasn't got a value. It doesn't work in the way we thought about it should be working. In the beginning of Bitcoin, we were going around and we were talking to people, yeah, why do you don't want to use Bitcoin? And no one was interested in Bitcoin. So What happens then? You produce bitcoins without a value because no one is believing in. Today we see the bitcoin, one bitcoin is at the moment $12,500. What happens? What happens to all the people out there? What happens? Why is it working? Someone from you heard about the pizza story? Yes. I will tell you what was the pizza story was in real. In real, there was not this thing, someone was selling the pizza because it was suddenly. When people started talking in the first time in New York, they were at the Italiano, eating pizza right now, right? But then there was an accident outside in front of the door, and the reporters came, and it was late in the night, it was cold. And someone was coming from the reporters eating a soup in the pizza store, and then he saw that some drunk guys were going to pay with pizza, with bitcoins. The guys wasn't drunk. They have talked about before to do this now, because they know this reporter will be going crazy about the thing that happens there. And so it should be. After 5 days, the reporter comes back to the owner of the pizza and says, what happens here? And then he makes a report in the New York Times. That was the first time in life when people recognized Bitcoin as a payment system, not as a trading system. So then pizza got the value, and he had heard about the Silk Road thing, right? Has someone heard about Silk Road? Yeah, this was a marketplace where you can buy everything. You can buy a pizza, you can buy drugs, you can buy weapons, you can buy goods, houses, everything there. But it was not the way the government wanted to, and finally they find the guy who was running it and set him for jail and stopped the system. Okay. But the worth of bitcoins was growing because traders come in. And yeah, in the first time until 2013, until 2014, Bitcoin was only a speculative thing. Because no one was going out and paying for a pizza with Bitcoins anymore, because there are no merchants accepting Bitcoins. So this is when people today call a bubble, it was in 2013. And in 2014, the Bitcoin price crashes from $1,200 back to $250. Why? Bitcoin is a system like your monetary system on banks. If you go for online banking, you have normally a PIN number to access to your banking account. So in Bitcoin world, it is called such a called private key. So for example, I get your online PIN number and transaction number and something like this, I can send your money away. So you store your PIN number safely in your head or something in your flat or something in the treasure or something like this. Private keys are the same. If I have your private key, I can access your money directly. So people make a mistake. People were putting the private keys at the bank side. Many people today talking about Bitcoin was hacked. It was no hack. It was the fault of the people, because the bank was saying, okay, we have $650 million in here. Let's take out the private keys the people leave at our place. And so they took out the private keys and sent the money all away. That would happen in 2014-13, and many people were thinking, yeah, the blockchain is faulty. In real, the Bitcoin blockchain has never been hacked. Because of the system, it's mathematically impossible to go through. And I will show you later on why it is also impossible to do with a quantum computer. There's a trick in there you can't crack down with a quantum computer. If you read something different, forget it. We can prove that it is not so. So it comes up to the modern times, the second row, and you see from 2014 until now, it's only 3 years. And the Bitcoin price was rising again. If it had been hacked, many people would have hacked it after this time, for example. So what we now see is a necessary and a need out in countries who are very poor to use Bitcoins. So I use my Bitcoins not for investing in companies or something like this. We go for charity. For example, I will tell you Venezuela, Argentina, we're going to Haiti, we're going to every place in the world where money is losing worth. So if you have an example in Venezuela and you go for a McDonald's, and you pay $1, you get 3 meals. But $1 an inhabitant of Venezuela can't afford because it's more than his income. So if you have $500 in Venezuela, you're a very, very rich man. So if you have created a mining company to create bitcoins, and one bitcoin is $12,000, and only in 1 year you find one bitcoin, they're very, very rich. So what we do is we go into these countries and say, okay, we offer you the chance to get your goods against bitcoins, and we send you ships and everything, and you have to eat and you have to drink. So these people also in Africa, Venezuela, Argentina, we have them in Mexico, we have them everywhere on the world. Panama is going down, we see it there. We see Costa Rica coming in trouble. We see all the countries going in trouble. We have seen the Brexit, we have seen the Grexit. And so people try to use a value they can send around the world without restrictions. So you can't stop people from sending a Bitcoin from one country to another country. It is impossible. You can't stop it. There's one reason. When we built up this Bitcoin thing, we were thinking about what if it is online, we need online exchanges, and what if the government is coming and close these online exchanges? What will we do then? And as I said at the beginning, Bitcoin has a private key. I can write for every account I make on the internet, and we have millions of wallets there. Every day a new guy is coming up with a new wallet. So we can create a new wallet, and we can, let's say, put on the wallet 20,000 ruble. Then we make a sub-account, put there 5,000 ruble, and for each sub-account we get also a unique private key. You can't copy this number, it's unique for your system, because cryptography is like keys, like stars in the Milky Way. So what we have is, we will spend this key, we will write it down on a paper, the number on a paper, and I give you the paper with the number, and you open a wallet in the internet, and then you type in the number, and at that moment you get access to the money directly. So you can't stop people from sitting at the high tower of an office making this, sitting in a cafe making this, going on the street selling their bitcoins on the street. So this is why we have an internet platform called Local Bitcoins today. Another one is coming up. Last year was Paxful, and we have now BISC. We have more of the systems, and we even work on 150 systems like this. So you can also send, without declaration, money from your bank account directly to the bitcoins in the next time you will see, without a bank in the middle. We're working very hard on it, because that is a secret for a free world. You can't hire that much people who will stop you from trading bitcoins on the street. It is impossible. We see it in Argentina. When you go for Argentina and Venezuela, it's forbidden to use bitcoins, you go for jail. But the people poor there, and they do it even if you say it is forbidden or not. And they can't crack down bitcoins there. Bitcoin today is working on a network of over 2 million computers. And if you think the mining farms are controlling the bitcoins because they have large computers and large amount of bitcoins, it is wrong. There are more than 800,000 people out there having a mining computer in their cellar, and so they control back that there's no 51% attack. Maybe you heard about it. So Bitcoin you can't crash down. It is impossible. And now people run for Bitcoins more, and the price is going up. So what I want to explain to you is how the price of Bitcoin is coming to this value of $12,000. And I will show you in the first way why it is not a speculative bubble or something like this, because the only currency who has two price factors is Bitcoin. No Ethereum, no altcoin, nothing. And I will show it to you. Wait. So, The first line, the speculated line, is by traders, by investment funds, by bonds, and all the good things we have in the monetary world, in the old digital world. So you bet on bitcoins. Now we have the CME, it's the largest exchange in America, the Chicago Money Exchange. They will trade bitcoins and the price is going this way. But also we have the poor people who will spend bitcoins for a real market cap. So if you buy a house for bitcoins, you buy something to eat for bitcoins and so on. And this market is normally going slow because the acceptance of bitcoins by merchants is going slow. So if the bitcoin price is crashing, it is only the speculative part of the bitcoin. So if go traders and trade something like a bubble and then they don't believe in their tradings, it will crash. But imagine, if you buy a Coca-Cola in Argentina, it is 0.025 bitcoins worth. After the crash, they don't think in Bitcoin, they don't think in ruble, they don't think in US dollar, they don't think in anything against it. They know a Coke is 0.025 bitcoins. And that's the exchange for a Coke in bitcoins. So they don't need to care about the price on the world market if a bitcoin is $2 or $3 or nothing else. They see the price and they will do it. So if we want to study this in a big way, we can go today to Japan. The Japanese accepted Bitcoin as a currency. And in every store, every corner, you can buy Bitcoins, exchange Bitcoins, and pay with Bitcoins. And many people ask, how could this come alive? Because governments are not very friendly about Bitcoins. We come to the smart contract things after this. And want to stop the Bitcoin. So in Japan, it was the same. The Japanese was fighting Bitcoin in a very strong way. But then people start to make tradings under the counter. For example, you have a bike, you give me a bike, I give you some Bitcoins. And it started over 3 million people doing this without going for the merchants. And the regulators come to the merchants and say, what about the taxes? What about your income? You have less than last year. What happens to you? You will be trading us. And they say, no, people not coming for my shop to buy. And that was the big thing starting over. The price in Japan from the Bitcoin rises faster than any other country of the world. And the traders were going for Japan, rising the price even higher. And then we had the value was equal with the money in Japan. So people could decide, will I go for Bitcoin or will I go for the normal money? And the government was reacting. We're talking since 3 years to the government, and they were saying, okay, let's allow the thing and let's look where it happens. And if it is not working the way it's good for all, we will stop it. And so it comes that Bitcoin comes first currency in Japan. And you see the price of the old currency from Japan is going this way down. And Bitcoin is rising there. So this is what we call real market cap. This is the real price of Bitcoin, and today the Bitcoin price is about $4,200 in the real market cap. So you see the trading is coming on top. And that's normal. If you want to make trading with goods and you have only the trading between cryptocurrencies, there's no value which is fitting the cryptocurrency behind. But if you have a Bitcoin and you are going for trading with a Bitcoin, he can't fall down beneath $4,200 at the moment because there are people using the Bitcoin for buying goods. If you do this with Ethereum, Ethereum will go away. Ethereum, for example, has a value of $400, and if it blew it away by speculation, it's gone for good. So there's nothing safe, more safe than Bitcoins today. So this is the thing we have to talk about. Many people ask me, yeah, there are so many different coins out there, and the next big thing is coming, and the next big coin is coming. You won't see it. Because today we haven't got 3 internets, we haven't got 3 Googles, we haven't got 3 Amazons. It's only one. There are many shops like Amazon. There are many search engines like Google. Yeah? But what happens? Google is the name. Amazon is the name. So we have 1,380 different coins at the moment. and the number one is Bitcoin. So, because we can create a coin here, and then we'll say the Russia financial coin. So what happens is we're trading it between us because we know about this coin, and then you go to your friend and says, yeah, would you like to have my coin? So then he says, yeah, it's a good value, we can trade it. But after a couple of time and a couple of people, they will say, oh, what about the coin? Can I use it for something? And then you say, no, you can sell it there, you can sell it there, or maybe you can exchange it for Bitcoins if we have it made possible. So, and then there's no value behind. So the price of your coin can only rise in the middle way, the more people you bring in. And if you are not able to bring 40 million people, like it is in Bitcoin today, you can't beat Bitcoin. That's the thing. So many people come down to the conclusion, okay, it's more about Bitcoin. We have the so-called smart contracts. Who of you knows Ethereum? A little bit. Okay. Ethereum was founded by Vitalik Buterin, and he says, okay, if some guys can create something like Bitcoin, we can do it also. And the first time, he is a very strength in mathematics and programming and coding. He's a very nice guy. He did a system where I thought, yeah, he got it. But over the time today, we found more than 600 bucks in the Ethereum chain, not only the smart contracts for you, you know, and we can hack it down. John McAfee, virus protector producer, was saying Ethereum must be shut down completely and reprogrammed. I know Vitalik Buterin, and I was asking him how he thinks about this, and he says, okay, it's the Ethereum Foundation, it's not me. I will do projects on it, but I don't care about it. Okay. So this will be coming out that Ethereum says we have smart contracts. The first time people heard about blockchain and smart contracts was because Ethereum was making announcements. They say, hey, there's a Bitcoin, you can pay with Bitcoins, it's okay, you can trade Bitcoins, but we can do much more. Yeah? So many people think today that Ethereum was the founder of smart contracts. But as you can see, you can go for an internet site, for a website, it's called beta.org. I will write it there, you can check it out. There you can see smart contracts were founded in 2010, and you can download a software where you can create smart contracts with. But people in 2010 haven't gotten interesting in smart contracts. They only were thinking about creating value by trading. So when Vitalik Buterin comes with Ethereum, he talks about smart contracts, talk what we can do, but no one knows that the same I can do on Bitcoin. Each project you do on smart contracts, I can rebuild on Bitcoin because of two things. Smart contracts is a foundation of the mid-90s. So someone of you know Microsoft Excel? Yes? Excel is the founder of smart contracts because you know you can program macros. Macros are smart contracts today. The only problem we had to make it happen is that if you have a macro, you have to get your mouse and press a button. So this we can do today by exchanging a value, and the value is recognized by the smart contract, and then the computer is starting the program. So it's very simple to create a smart contract. You can do it also in Visual Basic. For example, some knows it's a language, a very simple language to code computer programs. So now Ethereum was going for smart contracts with the Solidity program and make something and called it a decentralized anonymous organization. So what does it mean? They want to prove that smart contracts can work without someone is doing the job. So for example, you have a list and you have to enter something in a list. You do it by hand, and the computer can do it now only by informations, and you don't have to do this. With the DAO, they want to show that they can collect money for crowdfunding without someone is writing anything and doing anything on the platforms who provide crowdfunding. And it works. But what happens then was that we say, okay, we found some bugs, don't start this thing, and they don't listen to us, and 65 millions we steal from the Ethereum and the DAO. And Ethereum was a long time going away from the market because no one was believing in it. You see, this is a good example that Ethereum hasn't something behind, no value behind. It's only trading good. And Ethereum was not founded to be a monetary system. Ethereum is a thing that was founded to copy the old digital world into a new world. So you know stock markets, right? Stock markets working that you have an account at the bank and he is placing the shares in your account, and then you can trade with your shares, and the manager from the bank will do it for you. He will sell and order all the day. But this is complicated and it's too expensive because you have to sell the bank fees. And the reason behind smart contracts, one is that you don't have a bank to make it happen for you. ICOs, initial coin offerings, tokens is the same like your bank worker is doing for you in a digital way without someone in the middle based on smart contracts. But in the meantime, we can do more fantastic things by trading with smart contracts. For example, who of you knows what Google cars are? Google cars can only drive by satellite without that you have a driver, right? So they can go from A to B with navigation without that you have to steer the car. But you have to say, I want to go from A to B, and you have to put in the navigation the direction before it works. With a smart contract, you can make a driverless taxi. So you can call in the car and you can say, pick me up also. And the smart contract is recalculating the navigation system without something to do. Even if your gas is running out of the car or you have to go for technical check-in, the car is going by themselves and is paying with digital goods like Bitcoin or Ethereum at the repair station. So you don't have to do it by your own. So this is the main thing, and it is a very important thing to understand. Smart contracts can control everything normally people control. Every time you make a list, put something in a list, a smart contract can replace. So you see all the office jobs are going to be lost sooner or later by computer technology. It's like the same, you have workers on a machine, and today the machine's doing all those things by themselves without a worker. It's similar. So governments and banks are afraid to losing their jobs. That's normal in a changing economy. When the internet was starting, the people were saying no one cares about internet, no one uses the internet, nothing will happen on the internet. And now today we see if the internet is cut off, we have some really problems. In a few years you will see if you haven't got blockchain technology or something like this, we have also problems. Because internet is transporting informations. The Bitcoin blockchain is transporting and saving value. So for example, you can't change the history in a blockchain system, you can't hack. Maybe you create a big machine, then you can describe how your machine is working, and description you do in a transaction to the blockchain in the text, like your bank. If you send money from A to B, you can make a little text what it is. And so you can make a description of your idea, send it to the blockchain, and then it is stored in the so-called ledger. Because normally each of you have a bank account and has his own ledger. In Bitcoin blockchain, you have only one ledger. All of the participations of Bitcoin blockchain, all the owner of a wallet for Bitcoins are on the same ledger. So you can see who is sending whom money. But there is not standing, Vitaly is Sergey sending, there's a number. Number 25 is sending number 28. So we can't see directly who sends whom money. But you can't change this ledger. And if you have the value, for example, the description of your machine in there, and you make this coming to the ledger because you make an exchange of value, you can't throw what is standing in there. If someone is coming and telling you, yeah, I have a machine and I was the founder of the machine, you go for the ledger, search your transaction, search for the transaction text, and you can read it, and you have a timestamp. And this timestamp is proving that you are the founder of this thing. So you can't change anything. It is impossible to change the history. There's a guy who wrote a book in the very early stages. It's called George Orwell. He was saying 1984, this book. Someone knows? Yeah, you? He was saying in this book, if someone can change the past and the history, he's controlling the now and here, and he's controlling the future. With Bitcoin technology, we can't change the history anymore. So it is necessary that you have a system who is not controlled by anyone. And that's the difference to all blockchain projects on the world. I have spoken to the leaders in Dubai about smart city, about this thing. I have spoken in Bali. I have spoken all over the world about this thing. The difference between blockchain projects today and the Bitcoin blockchain is the question, who is controlling the code? All of them say we are decentralized and there is no bank in the middle. Of course, there's no bank in the middle and you can do it all by the machines. And all they have a decentralized ledger. They call it distributed ledger. This means the entrances in this ledger are shared over a couple of computers, and if one computer breaks down, another computer is rebuilding the whole thing. So this is also in Bitcoin. If the ledger is fraud by someone, all the other knows he is coming from fraudulence, and they will rebuild it in the normal way because 51% of all computers say you are wrong. So if you want to trick the Bitcoin chain, you have to fraud 51% of all computers, still 1.1 million computers. It is impossible for you. But if I run the code behind, and that's the difference, I can go for Ethereum, change the Ethereum code. I can go for Ripple, change the Ripple code. I can go for every blockchain, and I can change the code, except the Bitcoin blockchain code. What happens? Why you can't change the code on the Bitcoin blockchain? Because Bitcoin blockchain was not created to make money. That's the difference. If you create a blockchain project today, you want to earn money. It's normal. We are business. So we go and say, yeah, for example, it's nice. You can store your identity on a blockchain, and then you haven't got to go for the passphrases on Facebook and everything. You just look in your PC, and your identity is stored on a Bitcoin blockchain, and the blockchain is saying, yeah, you are right, you are able to access. It's very comfortable. But what happens to the data you store there? They are stored central. They are not decentralized because the blockchains are not decentralized in a way it should be. I can control the code. I can go for it, put out your digital ideas, and use it for something else you don't know. So this is a thing we were starting to talk about Bitcoin blockchain to prevent people from losing their identities. So for example, you store your identity in a blockchain system and a hacker like me is coming, cracking it down and steal your identities, you have a big problem. So you have heard in the news that many companies have been hacked and the Google passwords and so have been getting out, right? That's the problem. They all use Hyperledger or something like this to store it, but we can go for Hyperledger. For me, it's a free world. If no one can transact my data, and I can say, you can look at my data, but you can't change my data. So this is important to know. In Bitcoin, you can't go for the code and getting out my data. You can't go there and change a smart contract. You can't go there and change anything. It's impossible for you. And it's impossible for the best hackers in the world since now 9 years. And that's the big problem today. Many people have heard that new things have internet, IOTA, Internet of Things. We have communication. Your wash machine is communicating with your television, and we have all internet there. So what they do today, they're working on projects like IOTA to connect all the things together so they can rebuild your life. For example, you are going to bed in the evening and you go for your alarm clock and says it should start this week every day 5:30. So the blockchain is recognizing and says 5:30. So the next time after 1 week you don't have to set up the alarm clock again, it will be done by the blockchain. So they know each time you open 6 o'clock your coffee machine, after a week, the blockchain knows 6 hour coffee is ready and going through the internet and starting the coffee machine. So they know your iPad or your Google chat has a newspaper on it, and they recognize which it is, and even if you get your coffee out of the machine, the newspaper is showing you the news from your favorite newspaper. So then you will go for your car. The blockchain has recognized your car must be warm up at 7:30 so you can go for work. Or the ticket for your metro have to be cleared, and it's online and it will be shown on your iPad. So we can say it is a long list what you can do, and the blockchain is recognizing for you because you are connected to the internet. So as a hacker, for me, it is a funny thing to lock you out of your house, because I know when you're at home, you're in there, I can lock you down in your own home. Or if you're coming out, or you go out and you come back, I have the control of your house, of your car, of everything. That's a big thing. But what if government is saying, we don't like you, and go for the companies running the code of the blockchain and says you have to stop them from acting. Stop your bank accounts, stop your credit cards, stop your home, stop everything. What would you say then? What is the difference? You want to live free in a free world, or you want to live in a world that is controlled in a way we can't imagine these days? So this was the thing why we were working on Bitcoin blockchain. This is the thing because we have so many problems to make the security bridges, and then Satoshi Nakamoto came with the same idea, and he says, okay, let's make it for free, not for money. And now you see it works. And that's the value why people in Argentina go for the money even if they go to jail. That's why people go in poor countries running for Bitcoin, because they know if they have Bitcoins, they can use it, and they can use the blockchain to create value and controlling without someone can go in for it. So what you have seen, all the hacks of the world is Ethereum hacks, the big things. We have hacked the Canadian exchange. I have done it on a fintech conference on a boat. We were on a boat, and I showed them live that we do it just like in a moment. We have cracked down EOS. It's a system for making Ethereum more secure. We have cracked down every blockchain project and ICO coming out, because they're working on Ethereum based mostly, and you can get out the money in 5 minutes. So what you will see in the next 5 years, it's my most topic speaking to the leaders of the world, is you will see greater hacks than you have ever seen before. People waiting for creating value in a way we don't see, and then they go for a bank when they say we have our own bank coin and crack down the whole system. The NSA was able to crack the SEPA system in 24 hours. We can do it today on the darknet in 10 minutes. So money today is not secured. All the systems we have security breaches except Bitcoin, and that's what we're working for. And many people say, oh, there's a bubble and it will go, because they know, they're afraid about this thing, that people can control what they do with money, what they buy with money, and what they use smart contracts for. So this is a big thing, and it will be a big thing in the next 5 years. We will see regulators come out in India who say, okay, we will depending all the money on cards and something like this, yeah, and they make more regulations. At the end of the day, they call me for fintech conferences, and I should explain why Bitcoin is still alive. That what happens in Sochi, that what happens in Bali, that what happens all over the world. For example, we go in January for French Polynesia, and the Polynesia guys cutting them off from the old dollar system and making them Bitcoin for main currency. We have done it in many countries today, and you will see Bitcoin is rising in these countries more and more. So this is why we are here today. And you can imagine I have 250,000 Bitcoin, what it is worth today, and what I can do if I go for buying things. For example, you know the company Nestle, yeah? Nestle make water, but the way they make water is in the wrong way. So what we do with companies for investment owned by me, we have now 32 persons holdings at Nestle, and we're waiting for 48 persons to cut off Nestle from killing people by water. The same thing I have done, we were buying shares from Monsanto. Monsanto is killing people by bringing foods on the stock market. So this is not funny for the people there. In their own land, they produce goods for other countries and can't afford to buy their own food because Monsanto is saying you haven't got the right to get your food. So what we do is there, we give them bitcoins. And bitcoins is rising. So we make charity projects for disabled people and something like this. If you go for spending money today, you give someone 1,000 ruble, 10,000 ruble. In 1 week, his money has gone away and he has to beg for more money. If you do the same with a little part of Bitcoin, the Bitcoin is rising in this time and he can pay the differences, and this money, his rest money, is rising also in a longer time. So we can help people to help themselves, to get value and create value. And what's the benefit of financial is, if you have more people creating value, they can spend their value for growing wealth all over, for merchants and something like this, because the poor people now can pay for goods, can pay for something, and all of the people are winners. So that's what many people don't understand. They have a problem to understand. But that's why we have set up Satoshi School all over the world. We are now in 80 countries present. We are teaching teacher. We make it almost for free, because if you have so much money, I'm bored about money, you know. We will give it away to create value for people, because Bitcoin is working until 2140. There's only a little amount of Bitcoins, 21 million in the end. And now, today, we have get out 16.5 million Bitcoins. So you can access only 6.5 million Bitcoins, because 10 million Bitcoins was locked by people like me to change the system when the price is high enough. So we have a circulation of 6.5 million Bitcoins, and the run for Bitcoins is now overrated by 1,000%. So the real market cap you see there is growing in a way you never seen before. And on top you have the speculator with about 48-49% of the real market cap. So the Bitcoin price is also halved. The Bitcoins have an output. Every 10 minutes, new Bitcoins come alive. That's fine. So we started in 2008 with 50 Bitcoins. Yeah, some of you think the Genesis block was in 2009. It's a fold, because Bitcoins have to be tested. And the first block was created in 2008, so we have 4 years of splitting, 2008, 2012, 16, and 20. And if you go from 2009, you are in 2021, not 2020, right? So, in 2008, the first block was created, and in 2009, the first public block was coming out. So now we see in 2020, the amount of Bitcoins is cut by half. Now, each 10 minutes, 12.5 Bitcoins coming out from the system, everyone is glad. And in 2020, 6.25 Bitcoins coming out. So the value of the Bitcoins is going down, but the price is rising, because more and more people have a demand of Bitcoins and ask for Bitcoins, but the output is less. So we will see in 2020, we will see a price about approximately 50,000-60,000 euros. And why? We see coming up a new economic crisis. It's different from a financial crisis. We see that in Europe, things going wrong in a way, governments spend too much money for the European thing and can't access it. We have problems in Italy, Spain, and also in Germany there are many problems. And we see that the worth of money, even in euro, is going down. And so we see crisis coming up, and we see the halving of the Bitcoins. So this value will go up to 100,000, 200,000, and we bet in 10 years we have a price of a Bitcoin from 380,000. So you can see many people, 10 million Bitcoins are locked by someone, by people, what they create for a value. And I know people like me, they want to change the world in a way we have not seen. If you imagine the price is at 380,000, and you go from 250,000, or a friend of mine has 500,000 Bitcoins, then you can change the world in a way we never have seen. And that's for a free world. That's not for ideology or something like this. It's only for a fight for a free world. And the only thing can stop this is you crack the Bitcoin blockchain. You can try it. And if you find a solution, call me. So this is an imagination about Bitcoins, how it works, to the philosophy and what it will be in 5 years. In our lessons, we also go for explaining how it works in a right way, how the proof of work is coming. It's a physical thing, how it works to create Bitcoins. You can also do mining today. And that's what we do in the courses and show you why you can't crack down Bitcoins at all. For you, you have to know Bitcoin has two things. Bitcoin was created on the one hand. Someone of you know Napster? Napster was an exchange for music in the late 90s. And then someone of you know BitTorrents? It was the follow-up system. So today 1/3 of all internet traffic is produced by BitTorrent. It's a very fast way to exchange informations, not going by servers, with upload or download. It's not like Dropbox. And these two technologies are behind Bitcoin blockchain. Bitcoin blockchain, for those who know, is a file transfer protocol. You can use every file on Bitcoin blockchain if you want. And it's built on top. Who of you know Lego? Lego bricks. Have you played with Lego bricks when you was young? You know this? Yeah? We call Bitcoin blockchain open source. The algorithm of the Bitcoin blockchain is protected by a cryptographic key who is so strong that you can't crack it down even in 350 years. So, but we can build on top. There's a protocol. The protocol is running the algorithm, and you can build like Lego. You can't change the algorithm, but you can build all the things on top. And there's no way to stop. If you create something new, we can also connect sidechains, called sidechains, to the Bitcoin network. Rootstock, for example, is the sidechain was creating for making smart contracts safe. And Rootstock is coming alive in January. So Bitcoin has a very smart way to create smart contracts, most secure more than on Ethereum today. And we see there was a discussion in the last time when they said, yeah, Bitcoin is too slow. Bitcoin never was too slow. Bitcoin was driven by a discussion from two different developer teams. So they have an argue what is the best way to make it faster or not. But at the moment they start to argue, there was not a transaction. So we can do all 10 minutes, we can transact 4,200 transactions in 10 minutes. It's not fast. For example, PayPal has 1,680 transactions per second. Bitcoin has right now with SegWit 14 transactions per second. So it's slower, right? But we haven't got the usage at the moment to make it slow. So then people started to spam this network to show it is slow for the investors, because the investors were expecting that Bitcoin will go even faster. So what we then see was SegWit and Lightning Network is coming in February 2018 live, and then we can make 1 million transactions per second on the Bitcoin network. So you see, Bitcoin is prepared for future. And Bitcoin is an investment vehicle for people who want to create value in a way they can do. Because if you think about that it is money, not an investment vehicle, you can only save 5% of your income in Bitcoins each month, and in 2 years you will have a lot of money. You go in, maybe you have 100 ruble, spend 5% of the 100 ruble in Bitcoin and do it each month. And after 2 years you will see you have a good value, because the price is jumping even if you have $5. If the price is double, you have $10. You don't have to buy one Bitcoin. That's not necessary. You can also buy splits. And that's what's going up. And you see all the things I have said before is driving the price up. When people asked me what was the best invest in 2017, it was buying a Bitcoin at a price of $470. And now you see what happens. The next year we'll be talking again. And we swear to you the price of the Bitcoin will be near 25,000. And then we can say what was the best in 2018. Except you crack down the Bitcoin network. Then it doesn't work. So, if you have questions, that was from my side. Thank you.